Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you download the app and then use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Hi, everybody. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera. As we head into, guys, the final week of 2022. Good riddance to a losing season for the Cubs, and hopefully better things ahead. Guys, how was the for those who celebrate Christmas, how was the holiday the last couple of days? Good?
Yeah, great. Like I said, I guess we were talking about it pre-show. I'm still in San Antonio, actually, with family down here. But, figured come to Texas, it'd be nicer out, because Chicago was blizzard and like the frozen tundra up there. But it was pretty cold down here, so didn't do a whole lot. Whole family came down, got to spend some time with them. So all good, fun times.
Yeah, and then the Cubs were nice enough to give Ryan a Drew Smiley article to write up, I think, on what was that, Christmas Eve?
Yep, Christmas Eve. We were going to the Alamo. We wanted to see the Alamo.
Yeah.
And so I'm I'm trying to work on the way there. And then we get there and my mom's like, "Are you done?" I'm like, "No, I'm not done." So I sat in the car for another half hour while they went and walked around the Alamo and stuff. Well,
they saw the whole thing, didn't they?
Probably,
for people that haven't been to the Alamo, it takes maybe 10 minutes to walk through. It's not. Oh, small building. Okay, thanks.
Like a cool little church, and that's it. Yeah, no, they were pretty much done by the time I got there. So
that's underwhelming. I figured it was bigger.
No, the Riverwalk it's near the Riverwalk, so that part's nice. But when people say I went to go see the Alamo, you're just seeing a tiny little brick church, like you said, and then there's some grounds around it. But there's if you ever go there, don't set aside more than 10 minutes to go to it.
Gotcha.
It's like a little church that you go in the church's cool, and then there's the little grounds, and they have that 10-minute historical movie that every museum has nowadays, and you do that. So maybe 20 minutes, Luke, but about 20 minutes to do that. If you sit and watch that movie, that's about it.
Yeah. So
what'd you do, Cody?
Well, I got a new pair of shoes. That was cool. Went and hung out with both her side of the family and then my side of the family yesterday. So there's a lot of traveling the last couple of days, actually. So it's good to be back in my apartment and working from home today.
Yes. You did or did not get Jordans from Santa?
I did not get Jordans. Wow.
Well, Santa can only do so much. When you have every pair, what's he supposed to do? Make the elves just create a new pair just for you?
Well, I actually have multiple pairs of the shoe that I got. It's just different colorways, actually. I've actually worn them on set before, Luke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a very rare time, but I have done it before.
So yeah, not a ton has happened since we did our podcast on Thursday, although some things did happen. And then we had Brendan and Corey talked a lot about stuff. They did their podcast. There was a segment where they talked about Michael Conforto, right? What possibility he might be, and then he goes out and does 2 years, $36 million to the Giants, which leaves me with the question. Okay, they got to find this power. It's just like what Corey and Brendan were talking about. They got to find power somewhere. And I know that Patrick Wisdom, it's sounding more and more like Patrick Wisdom's going to be over at third base still, and that's where your power is going to have to come from over there. But we know the downsides of that. And is Trey Mancini becoming a must at first base? I don't know where – Drury's off the board. I don't know where else they're going to get power from in the free agent market unless they get Mancini. And it sort of just seems like you'd be counting way too much on the possibility and likeliness of Seiya increasing his home runs. and Morel increasing or keeping his home runs, and somehow getting more out of the catcher position than he did last year, which is almost impossible that you're going to get more home runs out of catcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Well, considering you
if
just
you want to
lost
increase
Wilson
power, you
Contreras,
got to do
right?
it somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Eric Hosmer, I guess, is an idea. You're not going to have to pay him anything. I would rather have Mancini over Hosmer, but I do think Hosmer might play a little bit better defensively at first base. And he has a veteran presence, but so is Mancini, so I don't know what the difference really is. But like, I'd rather have Mancini over Hosmer, but he's another option, and he's left-handed, and we've talked about it at ends about the Cubs needing left-handed hitters. So, I mean, I wouldn't be against it, but he's very similar to Cody Bellinger in a way. But it's been multiple years of just kind of, underwhelming performance. I guess last year he wasn't that bad. But I don't know. To me, I wouldn't say it's Mancini or bust, because they can get creative on the trade market if they wanted to. But based off the trade that the Blue Jays and the Diamondbacks made over the weekend, I guess that they don't want to get that creative. So I don't really know. I was kind of disappointed that they didn't get Conforto just because of the options left. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want to go back into full-on pessimism, but yeah, I feel like the Cubs are missing out on some guys, and you signed Swanson, which is a great move, but now you gotta continue to fill out this roster, and yeah, they might be really good defensively right now, but like you said, Luke, it looks like they're trying to bank on some guys, Morel being better next year, and they're trying to bank on Bellinger on being more than what you might expect, and all these kinds of things, and that's just not a recipe for success. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I do definitely think that Mancini is kind of a must play now, and if it's not him, then I guess it would be Hosmer or Dominic Smith has been in the rumor too, and neither one of those two get me excited. You know what I mean?
That's what I was thinking of. Like, you could tell just by the excitement in Cody's voice that any of those moves are like underwhelming at this point.
Yeah,
Sure.
I do think someone says Longoria in the chat too, and like for third base, like he's like the only other guy at third base that I feel like you could feel okay with, but that's why I wanted Drury, but he's off the board too. So yeah, I feel like the Cubs have. If there's any failure of this offseason for the Cubs, I just feel like they have missed out on so many second-tier guys. I feel like if they would have got all the second-tier guys and missed out on Swanson, I'd probably feel better about the team right now than I would with Swanson and no other second-tier guys.
I don't know about that. What do you think, Brian? Like, for me, number one was you had to get one of the shortstops.
Yeah.
So they checked the big box, but I am surprised they haven't been able to get more of the other things.
Yeah, right? I mean, that was number one for me, was a shortstop, and I think we all were like looking at maybe we've talked about multiple times, like as far as like the overall picture of the shortstop, like Dansby Swanson was number 4. I think we could safely kind of rank him in that way, and then just the way the market played out, obviously that kind of confirmed that he was the number 4 shortstop on the market. To me, I agree. Like, that was the number one thing the Cubs needed to do, not because they don't have a good shortstop in house. We know Nico can play a capable shortstop and was really good last year, and should be good years moving forward. It was more of just the amount of different boxes that you could check off the offseason to-do list by getting any of the 4 shortstops, which again Dansby Swanson does. He adds a little bit of pop. He adds great up the middle defense, leadership qualities, intangible stuff that you don't see on the field, like all this stuff. He checks all those boxes, and so that's one player that does a lot of different things. At this point, I get like the secondary or even tertiary tier players that we're looking at now. They don't check as many boxes as a guy like Dansby Swanson does. That's why the shortstop was the number one thing. And yeah, you would have liked to have gotten maybe Jose Abreu and kept him in Chicago, just the other side of town, earlier in the season, and in maybe a different year, the Cubs are playing in that upper tier free agent market. They're going after Carlos Rodon or something, right? It just wasn't this year. And it goes back to something I said specifically about like Trey Mancini or any of the other first base options. It goes back to what I said a few weeks ago, that when I look at it realistically, like when they lost out on Jose Abreu, none of the other moves struck me as like they need to do this. Like I don't think the Cubs need to get Trey Mancini. I think he would be probably an upgrade, and obviously he would help Matt Mervis kind of platoon with him, let him acclimate to MLB at his own pace. I mean, I don't know how big of an upgrade he'd be over someone like Patrick Wisdom at first base. And if you just let Patrick Wisdom play first base and he plays that role of he hits against the lefties, lets Matt Mervis kind of acclimate at his own pace, and then go from there. He's probably an upgrade over Wisdom. I just don't know how big. And if it's a small upgrade, does it really matter if you get Trey Mancini or not? In my opinion, no. But I guess you wouldn't be able to know that until the season played out how it does, right?
Right.
So to me, if there's better third base out, like I don't know, Longoria was a guy that the Cubs targeted. Maybe I'd rather have him at third base. He's older, but at least he's a name, right? He might sell some more tickets. Maybe a jersey. Maybe he might get the Cubs a couple jersey sales.
You're speaking for Tom, Ryan. Come on, man.
If I had to get a
that's
jersey on one of those guys, I'd go Bellinger, I think, for a year.
But at least he'd be at third base. Wisdom obviously can move in and out of third base, but then he'd also be able to move over to first. I think I just like that scenario a little bit better than having Trey Mancini, who's solely going to be a first baseman. I mean, he could DH obviously, but at this point, as far as position on the field, he's a first baseman, and at least Wisdom gives you a little more flexibility, maybe a little downgrade on the offensive side, but I don't think it's big enough to say like you need to get Trey Mancini.
I guess
okay. All right.
The reason I said
that's fair.
I guess the reason I said what I said in terms of like I would have rather them getting more of the second tier guys than Swanson. It's not that I didn't want Swanson. Clearly, I wanted Swanson at the end of the day between when it came down to the last one, but it just missed out on so many dudes that I feel like could really help this team. And the more I think about it, well, if maybe if they had used some of that money to get some of these other guys, like I still like even though they're bringing back Smiley, I still think they need another pitcher. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like, even missed out on Drury, missed out on Conforto. I mean, there were guys before that they could have afforded. You know what I mean? Like Christian Vasquez. And Barnhart's fine, but like that's what I'm saying. Like again, I still think the shortstop was you had to get one of them. It's just that they missed out on so many of these other guys that like. I don't know. I was really hoping for more. I was hoping for more, and the Cubs have the money to do it, and now we're sitting here debating on if Trey Mancini is a must, and it's like, ugh. Like I don't know. Like I'm just I wish that
Abreu or bust. We don't know that. Like we also don't know that it's like a money situation anymore at this point, right? It's just like the crop of guys you had at first base. I mean. Sort of right now you look at it and say, boy, they're counting on a lot of belly bombs coming back, right? Like they're hoping that Bellinger can hit some home runs, and they're hoping that Mervis can hit some home runs. And like you said, maybe Wisdom provides that, but it is a lot of a lot of what ifs. Just like no matter who you sign now, it's going to be some what ifs.
They're what ifs, just like they were a year ago at this point. A lot going into the season, going into the new year with a lot of question marks. That maybe they can answer a couple of them between now and spring training, but again, it's like the options that are out there at this point are still limited in what they do. That I don't know. I mean, they're not going to be options that are used to build for the future at this point. Like a bunch of them are just going to be 1 year, maybe 2 year deals, stopgap options. Let some of these give these prospects time to move up the ranks in the system, or if they debut in the big leagues this next year, again acclimate to the MLB how they at their own pace. But it's none of them move the needle as much for me as some other options that were out there earlier in the season.
Guys, I want to bring up some first base options for next year and see if maybe that's why the Cubs might be better off waiting. And the names on the list right now is Josh Bell. He could opt out. Reese Hoskins is a popular name. Carlos Santana, Joey Votto. If you want to go an older route. Will Myers as a club option that probably won't be picked up. CJ Cron, who's just had a good year. Any of these names stand out to you guys more as maybe better off waiting type of thing?
No, best case scenario is that Mervis is actually a major league slugger by next year, right? But the other thing is that, don't forget the Cubs had the injuries to Canario and Brennan Davis. And I think those players, some of these players, that when they had a bigger group of prospects before guys got hurt, they could have gone out and sought a trade for someone that could have filled these spots. So maybe that's just a year behind now because of the injuries that guys will be able to do that. And one way to fix the problem at first base is Brendan Davis or PCA coming up halfway through the season or 3/4 of the way through the season, and now Bellinger can slide over to first base. So,
Fair.
There are possibilities out there. It's just not a perfect world. And as far as like the Swanson deal versus, we all agree they needed one of the shortstops. That piece, why it was so important, is also because it's building for the future, right? That's a 7-year deal. That's a multi-year planning for the future. Mix him in with Nico and the future. The guys we're talking about now for first base or third base are all 1 or 2 year fixes. Like everybody's just kind of like a stopgap, and you can really find the right guy for first base.
There's solely moves to help the team maybe be more competitive next season, which is what we want. But it's also
it's important for the three of us.
Yeah, but it's for our jobs, yes, definitely. But it's also it's just again moves that someone Corey said mid moves. Kind of what it is they're mid moves. They're not needle movers. They're not guys that are going to be on this team long term. It's just moves to slowly be competitive the next year, maybe the year after, which again, we want that. So maybe that's actually a positive in looking at them, but they're not going to make moves that are going to make this team like a powerhouse or even a consistent contender year in, year out moving forward. It's just, those are solely, tape over the hole until you can get a plumber to come fix your pipe kind of thing. Like
I guess they're good enough moves to make them competitive in this division. Yeah. I would still put the Cardinals. Yeah, I would still put the Cardinals ahead of them. But they're a top 3 team in the NL Central, no doubt. And you want me to get real spicy? I think that Pittsburgh could take a real big step next year as well with Milwaukee falling down. But that's just Pittsburgh's actually made some solid moves to make their team better. Nothing outstanding or anything, but they've made some moves. But yeah, I mean, all I wanted was the Cubs to be somewhere in the wild card chase. And the only reason I've been complaining since the start of this show is because I feel like they could be doing it and still doing it at a very cheap rate, considering some of the contracts have come off the board. So that's what makes me a little bit more disappointed. Because 2 years, $36 million for Conforto. Why are we not in on that? Vasquez is is a bad example because he chose the Twins over the Cubs. Drury 2 years, $17 million. I don't know. Why are the Cubs not in on some of these guys whenever they're short term and cost controlled? I don't get it.
The way I look at it, kind of, and this kind of actually just stuck out to me is when the Cubs were going through their worst patch, that whole first half. I know it wasn't the entire thing, but it was a lot of it was those long losing streaks. Losing at 2 out of 3 every single series, that kind of thing. A lot of it had to do with the pitching. Yeah. Most of it was the pitching, the starting pitching specifically. They didn't have the depth to make up for losing Wade Miley or Drew Smyly or, those guys. Once those guys went down for a month plus, they didn't have the depth for that. And so when I look at it is you saw what they did in the second half. And as much as that has become just kind of a selling point kind of meme type thing, it's the second half, 39-31. It really was because they finally had stability in their starting pitching, and we're getting obviously good performances from guys like Adrian Sampson, Javier Assad, and that those kind of guys. When I look at it now, is they have bringing back Drew Smyly, bringing in Jameson Taillon, Keegan Thompson has proven he's at least a multi-inning guy, if not a spot starter. Alzolay is hopefully healthy. Hendricks hopefully healthy. You got Wisniewski and Assad and Sampson still back. They have a lot more depth. And so I think when you look at it as far as competing next year, I think the depth of pitching was a way more important thing than you look at the Cubs now. And you lost Wilson Contreras, you added Dansby Swanson. I don't know if the lineup feels pretty similar to what it was last year, right? So
minus Wilson,
added Swanson. It's probably a little bit worse, but I don't know if it's as worse as we may think it will be.
Well,
what I'm saying is you have a relatively similar lineup, potential to be as good. If Cody Bellinger rediscovers something, it could be even better than it was last year. But that's a big if, obviously. You don't want to count on that. But what I think is the depth the depth of the pitching is so much better than it was last year that when guys inevitably start getting hurt, the starting pitching is not going to fall off and be bottom of the league anymore. And I think that, as much as anything, is what's going to help this team be more competitive next year. And maybe even if they can stay relatively healthy and not, get bit by the injury bug as many times as they did last year, the pitching is, I think, is what's going to help this team potentially compete for a wild card spot. I think that's the biggest upgrade that this team can have.
What I like about the pitching defense model that the Cubs seem to be going with in 2023 is, number one, pitching creates fast games. That's the good part, right?
Yeah.
The negative would be there's going to be probably a lot of low-scoring Cubs games, which sometimes can be snooze fests, even if they are fast games, right? So, like, the excitement level of a pitching performance, unless it's a no-hitter, is not what it is for 4 home runs in the game. Yeah, so it's like it's a little bit of a balance for me. I do like the Smiley 2 for $19 million. I guess there's a 5th-year option, mutual option with a buyout, right? But
yes,
I wouldn't be mad if they added another. I saw a rumor today. I can't remember who put it out there, or if it was even a legit source. Somebody just said Chris Sale would be.
Was it Skipper?
Yeah, maybe Skipper put it out there. It could have been Wet Butt 23. I don't know.
I think it was Heyman. I think Heyman through the Chris Sale stuff.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Hello to everybody. I see Colada. Ron is here. Colada's already saying Ricketts is cheap, so the year finishing on a high note.
Yeah. My Jedi of Chicago's here. MIZ. You know how it is.
Wolf Design.
You guys want to get that off your chest before we do the ad reads?
Yeah.
Wow, Cody, I don't even know what, like, as like, just not even necessarily. I'd be more of an Illini fan than I am a Mizzou fan, but
Cody wasn't happy with me this weekend.
What on earth was that?
Yeah, it was.
Me and Cody were beefing this week.
It was probably the most embarrassing loss in the Brad Underwood era. Yeah, I mean, and then I got yelled at by a bunch of people from Missouri because I called their program mediocre, which it is. They haven't made consecutive NCAA tournaments in a decade, but
I won't even.
But I spent 2 minutes and 20 seconds shitting on Illinois, but Mizzou fans are yelling at me saying because I called their program mediocre. But it's like, what do you think it's mediocre, but you don't like me calling it mediocre? I'm sorry. I mean,
Missouri basketball is not an elite program.
But they're mad because I said it in the fact that I'm an Illinois fan, and they think that Illinois is a mediocre program when it really isn't. It's at least above average. Historically, I don't know.
It's mediocre. It's historically.
They've never won a national championship. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But how do you grade like the blue bloods that Coach K paying all these players to come play for him the last 20 years that everyone just kind of shoved aside, and then how do you grade everyone else after that? Like, I don't know. Like, I think a good college basketball program is a team that consistently makes the NCAA tournament. And for most of my childhood, Illinois did that, and they've done that the last 4 years. They would have done it the COVID year if they didn't cancel it.
Illinois and Missouri are good basketball schools. Are they powerhouses? No. Have they won national championships? So I think they're both right where Cody's talking about. They're like, can they get to a Final Four? Yes. Could they eventually, one of these teams, win national championships? Sure. This will probably make both mad, but I would put Indiana above both because they have a history of national championships.
I think
currently they may not be, but they have a better tradition and history than Illinois.
I would agree.
Cody, did you think that I sicked Mizzou Twitter on you? Because I did not. It was MIZ Chris. MIZ Chris was in there before I did.
You definitely encouraged it. You definitely encouraged it. If it was the other way around, I'd be getting shit on. So
I'm telling you right now, MIZ Chris was in there before I said anything.
Whoever that is, I don't care who it is.
When he's in there, he's the one that sicks the Mizzou mob on me. So it wasn't me.
Ryan is able to wear Shady Rays because his team won a game against another mid-level team that also is probably top 25 this year. Shady Rays. That's what it's all about. I bet a lot of people got Shady Rays in your family for the holidays, Ryan.
Oh yeah. Well, it was 4 out of the last.
You told
5
everyone on the show
bragging
last week.
rights. Yeah, I did. And thankfully my mom said that they heard it in the car, but that no one else did. So that was good. So everyone was still surprised by the Shady Rays.
Good. I was worried how that wasn't working out, but I'm glad it
But
did.
Shady Rays never understood why sunglasses were so expensive, so they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this fall because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered. Shady Rays are premium, polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. The best part about Shady Rays, they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear, lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Dropped in a lake, off a cliff, anything, they'll replace them. Even with that strong of a protection program, they still managed to make quality that I could tell you, holding in my hand, seems just as good as any expensive pair that I have ever worn. Shady Rays customers seem to agree with over 200,000 five-star reviews. Shady Rays also provides 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order placed and have donated over 20 million meals to date. They stand behind their product and told our team that if anyone has a problem, they throw profit out the window and do what it takes to get it right. You get free returns and exchanges. You either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay to ship them back. That's it. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. Use code CHGO, 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. Buy one, get one free. You can get 2 pairs for as low as $54. Redeem that code CHGO for 50% off only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades.
We missed an opportunity. We should have had Ryan live from the Riverwalk or somewhere cool, right? Like, or from the Alamo behind him, or the
maybe.
Is it Ripley's Believe It or No? Or
there's a Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah, across from the Alamo, right?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we missed an opportunity. That's my bad. I should have thought of that. Our next partner has a product I've been using literally every day. Started taking AG1 because I didn't have time, wanted better gut health, more energy, and optimized immune system. Now I've been on it for 9 months, and I love it. It doesn't taste super healthy. It has a mild tropical taste that I look forward to taking in the morning. Here's what it is. 1 scoop of AG1, you absorb 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. A special blend of ingredients supporting your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, aging, all of those things. I get a noticeable boost of energy, so I take it on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, and zing, there I go. And it's lifestyle friendly too, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, you're all good with AG1, and it's an all-in-one nutritional insurance for less than $3 a day. Recommended by professional athletes, more than 7,000 five-star reviews. So right now, reclaim your health, arm your immune system for the new year with convenient daily nutrition, just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. You don't need a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Cubs. Again, athleticgreens.com/CHGO Cubs. Take ownership over your health. Pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Great idea for those who like to make a New Year's resolution about being better health-wise, right? Let's be honest. Nobody's going to the gym 340 days a year. It's not happening. Like, let's not lie to ourselves. Ryan. When the resolution comes, don't lie to yourself. Now, is it realistic that you could take AG1 every morning? Yes, it is.
It's a lot easier to do.
A lot. I mean, I'm not saying don't ever go to the gym. I'm just saying AG1 is an easy one. You don't have to lie to yourself. You can take AG1 and you're already better health-wise going into this year. Just a thought. Are you ready for this game I've created?
Yeah, I'm ready as I'll ever be, I guess.
Well, I thought
I've experienced a lot the last few days. I can be ready for this. Yeah.
The 26th is always the day that people take whatever they got for Christmas and are like, I don't want that. This doesn't fit. This color's wrong. This doesn't look good on me. I wanted something else. And they flood to the malls. And everybody takes their holiday cash and all of their presents that they're returning, and they go to Woodfield, Old Orchard, wherever you want to go. They hit the mall. So I thought, since this is probably the biggest return exchange day of the year in the retail business, just guessing, let's play a game of return, exchange, keep. Okay? So I'm going to give 3 things. For example, if I gave you the Correa deal, the Dansby deal, and the Tucker Barnhart deal, which one would you return? Which one would you exchange for something else? And which one would you keep? Right? I think that one's pretty easy. If you had the Correa deal, right now you're thinking I'd probably return that deal, and we don't know if the Mets are going to do that. Then you look at the Dansby deal and you say, well, that seems, while he may not be the best of the 4 shortstops, he seems the most affordable, like what I heard. So I'll keep Dansby on that deal. And then you look at Tucker Barnhart and you say, nice player, but I wish we had picked up somebody else in a trade or Vasquez had signed instead. So that would be your exchange. So I'm going to start with the first one. You have to return, exchange, and keep bigger bases, no shift next season, and a pitch clock / hitter's clock. So it's the timing of the game, right? The hitters and pitchers have a clock. It's the no shift coming now to baseball, and it's bigger bases. So which one should we, out of that group, which one should we keep? I think is the easiest way.
Yeah, that's the most obvious one. Is whatever's going to make the game faster. That's.
I mean, I think it's the clock. For me, it's the clock. Yes, that's the one I would keep. Which one would I return? Bigger bases, I don't even understand it. I still don't get how they think that's going to like create safety in the game and like
return it for a better rule change. I don't know.
Well, see, so that would be the exchange. I think you could exchange. I like no shift though too. I really like do.
No, they exchange it for bigger shifts, like widen the area they can't even go to.
Oh,
okay. They can technically be like an inch on the right side.
Yes,
like make it. They can't even be behind second base.
Yeah, we're going to exchange the shift rule for an even better shift rule.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Yeah, and we'll get rid of bigger bases because it's stupid.
Doesn't make any sense.
I mean, what are they going to put blinking lights on them next? Do we need like hazard lights on ones or?
Hey, perhaps it will increase stolen base attempts because they're bigger. That means it'll be, those half-second, slide ins. Maybe guys will get more stolen bases.
Like missed it by an inch kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I think it will. I mean, like I said, you see the bigger bases and when you see now the smaller bases, how close some of these plays are, like literally within like an inch or two max. With the bigger bases, I don't remember exactly how much it's supposed to shorten the distance between.
I think it's 3 inches, right?
Yeah. So if you're telling me like some of those plays that are within an inch or two of the guy being safe, he has an extra inch or two to obviously touch that base. Like I think that would give guys more incentive to actually steal bases, which would increase the excitement in the game. I'll say.
Mike Dubs would like to do a double return. He'd also like to return the runner at second base rule along with the bigger bases. You could do an exchange for the bigger bases. I thought of this. What if instead of bigger bases, they had bases that had the technology of like touch? So the base would light up as soon as a player's hand touches it on a stolen base. So visually you could see on television on review the green light and where the hand or the foot is going into. Like I feel like there's technology. It should be easier to determine when somebody is safe at a base. No?
Yeah.
Anyway.
We'll see.
All right, let's try another one. Let's go with some. Oh, I actually like this one. The Wrigley scoreboard, games on WGN, or all of your prices returned to 1990.
Oh, man.
So your ticket prices, your beer prices, your food prices, if you paid for parking.
All right. For me, I'm.
I have to keep.
I got you. Got it.
I want to
say I want to
scoreboard. It is Wrigley.
I want to keep WGN. Like that's what I want. I want to keep WGN. Sorry, Mark.
So you're going to trade or exchange the old scoreboard?
Yeah, because I mean, Dansby Swanson's story is enough, man. Like WGN made this fan base the way it is. Like that's why I want WGN back.
Oh man.
But
there's
I mean,
too
I
many ways to
get
see
the
games
scoreboard
now.
is important though. It is.
The
It is.
scoreboard is, if you picture Wrigley Field, like the Ivy is probably 1A, but the old scoreboard is what really lets you know it's an old ballpark.
What if you exchanged it for a scoreboard version of the scoreboard, or a video board version of the scoreboard?
No.
If you did that, it wouldn't work the same, but it would
if
look
I had
like
to do it, I would, let's see, I would keep the scoreboard. Oh boy, the return of the exchange. I would exchange the 1990s prices for faster games, better bathrooms still, and
Okay.
better food. Any of those things.
Those new troughs.
Yeah. I don't mind it. I don't mind that the prices have gone up and inflation, all that stuff, because that's just a way of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can deal with that. I'd have to return WGN because while I did love WGN, I also had a job because games were at Comcast Sportsnet for a while, and it doesn't really matter for me what network the games are on. To be perfectly honest, when you're watching the game, you don't finish it and go, well, the Cubs won, but that wasn't on WGN, so. Right? It doesn't.
I'm talking about just people having the easy access to watch the games because it's
I know.
clearly a problem. It's clearly a problem right now.
I understand that.
Someone in Atlanta, Georgia, being able to watch, all Cubs games back on the WGN days. That is one thing you missed by that.
But now it's really only old people like me that can't find it I mean, like the technology now is you can stream it pretty much anywhere. You can find it on different cable channels. You can get Hulu and find it. It's not as easy as it was to find it because you just turned your dial to WGN. But now, if it went to GN, it'd force everybody to go back and get cable again.
Yeah. I think I'm in the same. I think I'm in the same boat as you, Luke. I think you have to keep the scoreboard. I guess that's too iconic. You have to keep it. And I think you're exchanging. Actually, I like what you said. I like exchanging the prices for a quicker game. Yeah, we'll stick with that.
Anytime you can exchange something for a quicker game.
I guess we're gonna have to say goodbye to WGN. As much as that, like everyone growing up, WGN was it, right? Like that's where we first started watching Cubs. Most of us, people that are old enough will remember watching WGN. But so that, as hard as that is to say goodbye to, I think that's the one that, like you said, it's like you don't notice, I guess, when it's not WGN playing games anymore. You do, but at the same time, it's like you can still watch Cubs games that aren't on. You still get through it, I guess.
I'm not sure the games were on GN in 2016.
I want to say they were NBC Sports Chicago at that point.
Oh yeah, for sure they were.
They were on WGN in 16.
Once NBC Sports Chicago and Comcast came along, so that's for me 2004. We always had more games than WGN. We just could never say it because people had such a love for WGN. The majority of the games were always on Comcast Sportsnet, CSN, and we actually had first refusal when they actually divide games up. Like they say, I want this series, I want this series, this series. So we always had first choice. Then GN had second choice, and then whoever was third would be, when ABC came in, they would have it, and they would get divvied up that way. But it's been a long time since WGN carried
every game.
Yeah, I don't think
the majority were all
16.
games. Well,
they did.
I don't
remember.
Didn't
come around until 2020.
I remember
having to get it. I remember having to change my Xfinity. I had to change my Xfinity package or whatever in 2020 for that.
What I'm saying is, I don't know if 16. I don't know if 16. Okay, maybe it's like where WGN had a few, much fewer of the games because
possible was that in 16. I don't remember, but if it was like the majority on NBC Sports Chicago, then just a few on GN and some on ABC7.
Because I don't remember in 16 I was already at school. I do not remember being able to watch many Cubs games because they weren't on WGN. I was already at school in Missouri, so I don't remember being able to. But so I missed most of that 2016 run. I'll say that.
So do you want to do one about Cubs? Do you want to do the next category, Cubs pitchers of past or present, Cubs hitters of past or present, Cubs trades of past or present, or I have 3 specific players to choose from.
Let's do the specific players.
All right. Specific players. You have to keep one, you have to return one, and you have to exchange one.
Okay.
Wilson Contreras, Anthony Rizzo, and Kyle Schwarber. Who are you keeping?
Rizzo.
Oh man.
Who would you have returned? Who would you have
Rizzo.
exchanged?
Keeping Rizzo.
Hmm.
Keeping Rizzo.
Keeping Rizzo?
Because you have no first baseman?
And I would trade Wilson. And I guess we could exchange Schwarber for someone else, I guess.
Wasn't the trade the exchange?
Or what?
No, they're two different things.
Yeah,
there's a return and there's an exchange.
So which is the trade? Yeah, the exchange would be the trade then, right?
Yeah, an exchange would be a trade. A return is you're just giving them back. You don't even. It's done. Basically, what they did to Schwarber.
I'll return Contreras and trade Schwarber so we at least get something for him this time. But I'm still keeping Rizzo.
Well, interesting. Now, I think I would have. They have a need for first. I would keep Schwarber because they need the left-handed power and they have a DH spot, and he'd be a perfect guy for that role for the next 5 years. Would have no problem with it. I would exchange Rizzo because I would get Alcantara back in that trade that they got, right? So it was already a good exchange, although you weren't necessarily thrilled about doing it at the time. And then if I had to just give one away, it would be Contreras because I'm sort of buying what the Cubs are now saying about the defensive catcher and that position. And Wilson has turned off some of the fan base with his Cardinals love, a.k.a. Cody at times. I know he's dead to Corey. But it's more about that I think you could get more for Rizzo if you would traded him earlier or when they did than you would have if clearly they couldn't even trade Wilson at the deadline for what they wanted.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, like, as far as Schwarber goes, he's younger than Rizzo. The power plays, obviously, at any ballpark he's been at thus far. I think you go back to it, you're keeping Schwarber for those reasons. I mean, not like he was a Gold Glove first baseman, but he did play there when he went to Boston at the end of 2021. He can play left field. I mean, he has great arm. Maybe not the mobility of a guy like even Ian Happ out there, but he plays a capable left field. And he's your full-time DH. You love that because all he has to do is focus on hitting, and we know he can hit at Wrigley Field. I think you keep Schwarber. Probably stick with exchanging Rizzo. Getting what you got for him at the deadline is good enough. Like the return on that, if Alcantara works out, like it seems like that could end up being a very good trade for the Cubs. You just give it you got a few more years until you can really even decide that. And then you basically did what the Cubs did with Wilson. Now you kind of return him, right? He goes on the market and someone else picks him up. I guess they did get the draft pick compensation out of it, but it feels like they just kind of let him go.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some good comments in the chat, by the way. Michael Collada says, trade Gallagher way, bring back McDonald's.
Classic one, yeah.
Brandon
says, I'd rather have the Taco
America.
Bell than the McDonald's, personally.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, the Taco Bell.
Is the Taco Bell back in any way, shape, or form?
They're both one, right? Back. They're both
well,
there.
I know McDonald's is certainly there, yeah?
There's a new Taco Bell, yeah.
There is, okay.
Yeah. Okay. I was just there like a month ago.
Okay, there you go.
Evil Wax 73 says, keep Contreras, return Rizzo, and exchange Schwarber. Collada was exchange Rizzo, keep Schwarber, get rid of Contreras.
I said get rid of. He went.
Yeah, well, I didn't say he had to get rid of. But that is essentially what you're taking him back to the store and saying, "Nah, we're good." And it's not because you want to; it's because it's a different. That's the game. Yeah. You have to do it with one.
Three different.
I didn't use any logic for mine. I used Dell metrics, and I just wanted to keep Rizzo because they should have always kept Rizzo. That's just my opinion. So,
all right, let's do at least one more. How about you want to do Cubs trades or Cubs pitchers of the past?
Let's do pitchers because we know how the trades will.
Yeah, well, we know, I like Cubs pitchers. So if you had to past or present, if you had to keep one, I don't know how it wouldn't be Greg Maddux. Like, they never should have let Greg Maddux go, right? Like,
what's
one
the
of the
other
greatest
choices?
pitchers of all time.
Unless you go even further, you say you have to keep peak Jake Arrieta. Without peak Jake Arrieta, the Cubs don't win a World Series. So if you want to get more specific,
if you could keep Jake from 2015,
2015 and 16, Jake Arrieta.
Who's the other one?
That may be the number one.
What's the
if you could keep
Maddux and peak Arrieta? Who's the other one?
Oh no, I was just saying it can be any pitcher.
Talking about keeping.
Take any pitcher the Cubs have had. So I'm saying if there's one pitcher in Cubs history and I had to keep him for like the entirety of his career, I would take Maddux because Arrieta was more. Ryan is saying, well, I would keep 2015.
Yeah, specific peak Jake Arrieta.
And I bet Corey would say keep John Lester.
Yes, I would assume so.
But now,
what about Fergie Jenkins though?
Fergie Jenkins would be a good one to keep too.
And based off Dell metrics, Big Z it's hard to want to get rid of him.
Yeah.
It's hard to return him to anywhere. I need someone to destroy a Gatorade cooler.
If you're gonna
need someone to fling a ball into the stands when he's pissed off. Like
these
are all big attributes.
There are a lot of guys. There are a lot of guys that fit the exchange, I think, because there's guys that would have had great value. Like if you could have exchanged Kerry Wood after his first few seasons in the big leagues or Mark Prior before the injury.
That's what I was thinking.
While the value coming back, you would have been willing to give up some good seasons in a Cubs uniform and fan favorites, but because their value was so high, the exchange rate would have been high.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like as far as exchanging, you had two guys who ended up being hurt, who ended up fizzling out because they couldn't stay healthy. Nothing against the pitchers when they were good, they were really good pitchers. When they were healthy, they were really good pitchers. That just didn't work out because they were not healthy for most of their Cubs tenure. So that's what I was thinking before you mentioned it. As far as Kerry Wood and Mark Prior, you probably could have got a pretty decent sized haul after Kerry Wood's 20 strikeout game in '98. Mark Prior, his couple peak seasons after he debuted, you probably could have got a pretty good haul for him. Before 04 and beyond, before he obviously got hurt all the time. There was a couple seasons there where those two guys would have gotten you a pretty sizable return because of how good they were and how good they were projected to be. I think that would be my exchange.
Did you see Brandon's comment? Brandon Marcellus has a really good comment. Yes. I would exchange Scott Feldman for Jake Arrieta.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's right. That's a good one.
And Steve Clevenger.
That's smart. I think even a guy like Carlos Marmol would be a good exchange caddy. Like when he first was moving into the closer's role and his slider was all over the place, you probably could have flipped him for somebody for a team that. But a Prior and Wood would have had such a high ceiling for the exchange rate. And returning guys, boy, where do we start on the guys you'd return?
Chatwood,
Brandon Morrow.
Chatwood's up near the top.
Brett Anderson.
Edwin Jackson.
Edwin Jackson, yeah.
First great as Theo and Jed obviously did building this team up the first time. Like that was just a move that you look back at. It was like, why did you do that move? That was just a lot of money given up to Edwin Jackson.
I always liked Edwin Jackson though because he helped the tank. He pushed that tank as strong as he possibly could. You know what I mean?
I liked him on other teams. He threw that no hitter out of nowhere, like 150 pitch no hitter. like that was awesome, but it was a lot.
I guess the reason that it didn't bother. I guess the reason that didn't bother me that they paid him so much was because when they signed him, it's like, well, we're still tanking anyway.
Yeah.
What is he here for? To eat innings? That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Eva Wax 73 again. Another great comment. Brandon Morrow. Yep.
Yeah. 100%.
That's the return guy right there.
Yeah.
Hey, return him. Yeah.
That's the man to return. You want to do one more? Or should we do our ad reads?
Who do we return on the current roster?
Oh
man.
Any position, keep, exchange, return. Well, you're going to keep either Nico or Dansby or one of the pitchers, right? One of the young pitchers. Well, now see, but those guys also fall into a good category for exchange if you're talking about someone as big as Juan Soto or.
Yeah. Don't forget about that.
Of all the players on the team right now,
You could, I mean,
current
you could
team,
also,
not prospects. I think I'd keep Nico.
I guess Ian Happ's a guy you could trade or exchange, I guess.
Well, the Giants might give you a lot for Dansby Swanson right now before he plays a game, but I wouldn't do that. I like having the two. Like, if I had,
I guess if you want to
somebody,
cheat a little bit, since Jason Hayward's still technically being paid by the Cubs this season, you could still theoretically return him.
That's your return. Yeah,
So
Sean
just
says return last year's Hayward contract.
stick the stake in my heart even harder, man. Fine,
Colada
please.
return Wisdom and his 200 strikeouts. I would say exchange. These are guys I'll mention just because it's not that I don't think they're good players. It's just I think they have value to other teams. And
There's a lot of guys with value on
and
this team,
I
for
don't
sure.
believe the Cubs have done enough this offseason to really be a serious playoff contender, right?
Yeah, I got the number one return, by
So
the way.
I'm gonna again say Stroman because I think you have pitching. You'd be dealing from a position of strength, even though we've said over and over you've got to build up depth in the pitching staff. I don't think they have enough that's going to compete with teams that went out and built super teams in the offseason. So, and I think the return on Stroman right now would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good still. A veteran guy that teams would be like, yep, we could put him in our 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
And he's not
Only
a
1 year left
10-year
with an
deal
opt-out,
you're
though.
accepting either.
I do wonder how much that the ability to opt out this season does affect a trade package.
Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, he's obviously a good pitcher, reliable pitcher, and a guy that contending teams would want to have in the staff.
Yes.
I just don't know how much that his ability to opt out, after the season would affect how much they would be willing to give up for him. But Luke, I did find your number one return. The Cubs in 2023 are paying $1.5 million to buy out Jonathan Villar's contract. So
that's the return.
That is your
that's the return. I don't want to pile on the guy, but that's the return. If you're still paying VR next season,
Oh my god.
I'm like that is your number one return.
that's the
When we
return.
first saw it, I'm like,
Nico's my keep, and my exchange is probably somebody like Stroman because they would have a super high value.
Yeah.
there you go.
There you go.
Anyways, what have we got? ComEd?
You
ComEd
do it,
today, huh? The
Thanks for running
ComEd
on
Energy
zone.
Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities we serve save money and energy. ComEd offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, whether it's lighting, HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include an estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. So don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips, to schedule your free facility assessment, go to comed.com/poweringbiz. Again, that's comed.com/poweringbiz. And if you're ready to sign up for a facility assessment, call them at 1-855-433-2700 during normal business hours to speak with a ComEd Energy Efficiency Program representative. Email businessee@comed.com or request that assessment online at their website, comed.com/facility assessment.
Whenever you have your electric bill paid, you can use the rest of your money at DraftKings, guys. This time of the year, everyone's excited about the gifts, the holiday spirit, but what about all the basketball? When I throw down on the NBA action, it's got to be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do.
Plus, everyone can combine multiple bets for a bigger payout with DraftKings same-game parlays. I'm pretty sure there's a boost on DraftKings today. You can use it on the NBA for a same-game parlay, like 100% boost, I'm pretty sure. You can craft something up for the Bulls game tonight and prepare to either get hurt again or win some money, or get hurt and win some money if you bet against the Bulls and you win your parlay. You never know. The possibilities, there's so many of them. That's why it's so great about DraftKings. Maryland sports fans, Maryland Cubs fans, if you're in here, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in your state. What a beautiful time to be in Maryland, honestly. Can't think of a better time. Download the app now to get in on the action hoops. Get in on the holiday hoops action. God, I can't talk. Sign up with code CHGO. Place a $5 pregame money line bet on any NBA team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details in the podcast or YouTube description. That said, you guys would be proud to know that I did not gamble on anything on Christmas Day.
Wow, you took a day off.
I did, yeah.
Great.
I was also stuck in the middle of
NBA.
nowhere. But I was stuck in the middle of nowhere with no service most of yesterday.
That's it. I knew there was a reason.
That's the main reason, but I like to tell myself I took a day off. So
Santa's got a chance to make a little free money. He's out there trying to do it. I know how it works. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. It's the best way to watch us, and we are less than 100 subscribers away from 23,000. So, hit that subscribe button. Get us to our Jordan number. Please get us there. And I believe, Steven, do you have our poll results? We had what grade would you give the Cubs off season so far? How's that going?
I've got the results. Only 7% voted it an A. But if there's
optimistic people,
yeah,
I like it.
They redeemed themselves a little bit here.
That's Cub fans in general, right there.
70% gave it a B, which is almost entirely due to the Dansby Swanson signing, I assume.
Yeah.
23% gave it a C. Okay. And here's the biggest surprise for me: 0% gave it a D or F, meaning Michael Collada did not vote.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if
Collada, I don't know what he'd give it. Collada, if you're in the chat, I saw you earlier. What grade would you give it? Because he was pretty up on the fact that they finally got a shortstop. Now he's down on other things, but I bet you Collada gives it at least a C.
A C? I could see that.
I mean, I could go as low as a B minus.
Yeah, I think roughly B minus B range is where I had it.
Yeah,
especially after the Swanson signing. I mean, there weren't a whole lot of like. There you go. Michael Collada said C. He's got C in there. I mean, it's just like, yes, that was like their A signing, I would say, but they didn't make. There were a few other signings they could have made that would have given them an A in this offseason. Carlos Rodon, maybe, that level of pitcher, or a different kind of bat, whatever.
Taillon's a good one, though. Taillon's is a solid signing.
Yes.
Smiley's a solid signing.
Yeah, and that's why I think like those guys are going to make this team better next year. Taillon obviously is supposed to be around for 4 years, so he'll help this team in the future as well. Same with Swanson. So you upgraded, maybe not the biggest upgrades, but you upgraded different positions, and you set yourself up to have some good building blocks for the future. I give it a B. I think it could have been better. Certainly could have been worse. It was an above average offseason for the Cubs as far as they went out and used the money that they have, the resources they have. Maybe not all of it, but they used some of it to plug some of the holes that were very glaring to end the season.
Sure. Or giving it they could go from a B to a B plus for me if they did any of these things or some of these things. Extend Hap, extend Nico. Those two things would make this an even better offseason. Like if you can lock down left field, or if you can lock down the middle of your infield moving forward, that would be good. If they could pull off a trade to get themselves a really good third baseman, first baseman, or catcher, somewhere where they need somebody, or even another pitcher for that matter, right? Like another, I don't know who, I'm trying to think, the Sale thing would be a trade. I'm not touching Chris Sale. I don't think the upside's there. I think for sure seen the best you're going to see of Chris Sale in his career, and the rest of it's not worth it.
Well,
I mean, when's the last time he was really healthy for most of the season?
No.
It's been a while.
Well, listen, you remember how he got hurt last year? A freaking comebacker took his pinky off or whatever it was, right?
Yeah. He's also had some. He also.
I agree. There's been some injury problems there. But
Yeah, was it he punched a cooler or did he kick a locker? Like he's had
he did that, but he didn't get hurt there. Yeah, he's shown that he's passionate and angry because he can't stay on the field. But
so you'd be okay with Sale?
Because
Sale if it was a.
Because you're not going to have to give up anything. You don't have to give up anything for that contract. I don't blame the Red Sox for giving that contract. He had an insane 2018 season that led arguably one of the greatest teams I've ever seen win the World Series. Like, if that guy's healthy, he like that's just been his thing is that he hasn't been able to stay on the field since they kept him around.
I just don't know what you'd have to give up for him. Like, if you're telling me you don't
I don't think a lot. I don't think a lot. I mean, again, he's making a lot of money and can't stay on the field. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm just saying that I don't think you have to give up a top prospect. I don't think any teams have to do that.
Maybe he's one of those guys that gets they throw in that contract to sweeten up a deal, right? A contract they want off the books, but then hey, like the Cubs go after Devers, but they're like, we'll take the Chris Sale contract off your hands.
Oh
too.
yeah, I'm down with taking some money off another team's for That I'm okay with. The Cubs have the money, like we've said. Like the Cubs have the money to do deals like that.
I think and that's kind of the point
Doug
too.
Just said.
Yeah, like you're not if the Red Sox eat money, you know what I mean? Like you're just taking them off of their hands. It's kind of like what they did with the Mookie Betts trade because they sent David Price in that trade as well because they didn't want to keep paying him.
But somebody in the chat earlier suggested Happ, Hendricks, and PCA for Sale and Devers, and guys, that's not enough to get that deal done for Devers.
Hendricks. I don't know what value what trade value Hendricks has right now. Anyway, just because he missed the whole second half of the season,
right?
You don't even know for sure right now that he's going to be ready to go by the time opening day comes around. Like, what is the trade value of Kyle Hendricks right now, and does he even fit in a trade for Devers? I don't know.
I don't think that's the way that's.
I think that trade, if you took out Happ and put someone who has more control in there, then I think you at least are at the conversation table.
Seiya has a lot of control.
Yeah, I mean,
no trade clause.
They're not going to take PCA and Seiya.
Oh, is it no trade clause? Okay.
Yeah, he has a no trade clause. So,
I mean, I think the Cubs will just have to throw in another top prospect with PCA.
Yeah.
Again, Devers going to be 26 this year.
It's another one of those things where they have to get creative. It's another trade scenario they have to get creative to pull off because there's probably other teams out there that can offer better deals than the Cubs. Like straight up face value can offer better deals. So the Cubs would have to get creative in how they would take Devers' contract. Well, I guess one more year on his contract. So how they would get Devers to out from the Red Sox.
For someone like Devers, Happ's value isn't very high because he has 1 year left, just like Devers.
You'd just be renting them, so that doesn't make sense for them. You're right. They'd want guys under control. They'd want your Steele. They'd want
the only way that might happen is if the Red Sox decide they're going to full on blow it up, rebuild, just want to get guys off the books type thing. But I don't see them doing that. They just
honestly, they probably want Nico. Nico's the guy they want. Under control, young player who's on the up. Like Nico, want Nico, Steele, and PCA at least.
And to be honest, I'd probably do it if that meant that Devers was going to sign an extension. Wow. I'd probably do it. I mean, he's again 26. 26. You gotta send PCA, Nico. Maybe not Steele. You know what I mean? Like if I had to switch that up, I would do PCA, Nico, and someone else. I don't know who yet, but off the top of my head. But I don't think you'd have to move Steele to get Devers. You could move those two guys, maybe throw in another prospect, maybe throw in someone else. I don't know.
We've gone off the rails. So we've traded half the team now for Devers. Let's save it for tomorrow's podcast. We're back at 1:20 again tomorrow. We're gonna ride out 2022. We're gonna finish it out on a high note. And first of all, everybody that came in on the chat, appreciate it. Hope everybody had a good holiday. And we'll be back all week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then Brendan and Corey on Friday to finish out the year. And then right back at it, 2023. I've got an idea for a show later in the week, by the way. That's all I'm going to say. Got an idea for a show.
Tease it. That's how you tease it.
It's just called a tease. Just a little taste. I just gave you a little taste of that favorite holiday cookie right there, but not all of it. Thanks to everybody for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Make sure you download the app and use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Take care. We'll see you on Tuesday. And, of course, fly the W.